Thanks everybody for joining us. And with Deepak Gala, who's the CEO of Broadleaf partner Logixal, and also with John Lawlor. John is a technical executive that worked with Broadleaf and Logixal at a multi-billion-dollar, multi-site, multi-brand, multi-geography retailer. So Deepak, John, thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having us.
Today, we're going to talk about the billion-dollar commerce migration. And so we're going to set this up kind of like a case study. We're going to talk about the challenges that John and his team faced with the legacy solution, what options there were in market, the solution that was ultimately delivered, and the results of that solution. But let's get right into it. So John, could you start by just walking us through what the major hurdles were and the technical debt that your team needed to overcome from the legacy solution that you had?
The solution we had challenges related to multi-region, challenges in how to do deployment, and a lot of, like you said, technical debt of code just built over the years. So we had a lot of clashing of users where data got corrupted, things like that would just cause problems for our customers. Clashing in session data, right? So it was a Java-based session solution, and we would run into issues where sessions would clash for users because everybody's on multiple devices nowadays, right? Nobody's on a single device. Everybody's on a phone or laptop. They're logged in 3 different places all at the same time. And as more and more people are doing that, we're seeing more and more corruption in data or clashing because users are across devices. So that was some of the bigger challenges. Performance was another big area. The performance of that old solution was a struggle. And as we were growing, right, the business was growing, we were struggling, like we couldn't expand it anymore, right? We were running out of that runway room of, hey, how do we grow this business and keep the solution running? So performance was another big challenge we were facing on how to do this. And then it just wasn't really easy to take in best of breed type of product. It was a lot of effort to try to say, okay, well, we're going to have to rip this piece out or that piece out. So it wasn't really a very composable solution. So those were some of the big challenges we were facing as we were trying to expand and grow. We were struggling through those different areas.
Thanks, John. Deepak, in providing customizations to the legacy solution of the past, what commerce areas were you all aware of that were going to be the biggest challenges?
As John rightly said, the solution had tons of customization built on a monolithic version, but the key area that really were of critical importance that we felt across were starting right from a very customized and very widely used coupons and promotions. We had an in-store app, there was a marketplace, registry solutions which were widely used, being a multi-site solution across different countries, and the whole customer service. Add on to it from the technical side, there was a very highly used and a lot of traffic coming onto the site, and then the business need of having a zero downtime. That was a pretty critical requirement. No matter how big the feature deployments, enhancements, or anything else, it was always a zero downtime requirement.
So John, what about that zero downtime requirement? Where did that come from, knowing that getting to zero downtime can be very expensive? I mean, when you're talking about data and infrastructure replication across multiple regions, could you walk us through the business justification there?
Our business actually had that requirement for quite a long time. I mean, it wasn't something new. And it's really just because we're a very customer-centric company. If you're at 2 in the morning and you want to shop on our website, we want you to be able to shop on our website. We don't want to disappoint you because we couldn't deliver on something. So for us, being available and being there for our customer is the number one priority. And if you make that statement, you have to live by that statement. And so we chose a zero downtime solution.
Well, let's move now into kind of what the different options were in the market. So, John, as I understand the view of the market, your team kind of came to a requirement of having a microservice-based and composable solution. Could you walk us through the reasons for having that as the initial filter when looking at options?
Yeah, I mean, so we had started down the journey of going headless and trying to break down the website already. So we were already kind of started that journey. And as we looked at the future commerce solution for us, we wanted that same type of thing. We were also interested in best of breed. We were building a lot of customization around our registry business, different parts of our business. So very, very, very important is the best of breed solution. And when you buy just one big monolithic solution, and you can't do the best of breed. So we needed a solution that we could take the pieces that are going to drive our business and go somewhere else if it's not the best solution. And that's what we were really focused on. And then we needed flexibility. We wanted to be able to say, this is a critical piece of our business and we need to control it more. So we needed a solution that gave us options of we can control this and we can let somebody else monitor that or maintain that, right? So we needed a solution that was going to deliver on all of that, right? Being totally flexible, totally composable, totally in our control of what we want to do to drive our business. And that was one of the big drivers for how we went about things. A lot of solutions out there today, they say composable or they say they're flexible, but they're not as flexible as when you lift up the hood as some of the other solutions.
Yeah, that's a great point. Deepak, when your team is looking at the different solutions and in market, when you're making recommendations to clients like John, what are the key areas that you're recommending that particular focus on when differentiating between?
One of the areas that we really look at is the whole ability of how we can drive the journey across, right? So taking it from monolith into a truly composable era, the new world that we wanted it to be. We knew that given the complexities that are already involved in the existing solution, we cannot really look at a big bang approach. It had to be an iterative, one service at a time. That was one of the key areas. The architecture of the new solution should be able to support that. And obviously, along with that, as John said, right, it need not be just one solution. It was best of the breed solutions. The journey had already begun. There were a lot of solutions that were coming into the fray. So this was another criteria that was there, along with the scalability as well as the zero downtime agreements that probably we were looking at. The next area that we were looking at is the whole breadth that were available in terms of feature functionality that could match what is being looked at in typically in terms of criteria with respect to what we were looking from that solution. The last area that we generally look at it is also the ease of extensibility, how easy it is to extend the solutions for the customizations that are required whenever they are. So these were the key factors that we were looking at when we are trying to evaluate solutions for people like John's requirements.
And John, you mentioned flexibility, and I know that one of the key things was kind of deployment flexibility. Why was deployment flexibility in particular important to you all, and what does it say about software as a service or SaaS providers?
So I'll tell you, so in my all the years I was supporting websites, I've had one downtime on a holiday. Right. And it was due to a SaaS provider, so having the flexibility to say this is a core part of my business and saying I need to be able to control this a bit more than this other part of my business was important to us. Right. Because we wanted to be able to have that flexibility to say, yes, this piece I need to control, this piece I don't, and work with a partner that gives us that flexibility. And as Deepak said, we were very interested in a partner that had ability to extend the application in any way we wanted. And that's the kind of flexibility we were looking for. Not that we were going to pull on that or do that, but having that flexibility option was something that was very enticing to us. That we could have some SaaS, some not SaaS, and just pick and choose depending on our business need. And that's really at the heart of it why we chose Broadleaf in the end, right? That's the core of it, is that flexibility.
To add to what John said, as a factor that goes in as how quickly are we able to get this thing turned around. But the time factor was pretty important as well in trying to evaluate when we are trying to look at different solutions. This really something that can turn around features really faster. So that's another important factor that played in terms of evaluation criteria.
Yeah, and just to hammer it home, right? I mean, when we evaluated, right, we decided to move on the offers and promo piece first, right? Just launch that separately, totally independent from the rest of the application, just because of the benefits it was going to bring us was significant. And so we're moving on that direction of, hey, let's launch this and kind of go down that route. And the flexibility to do that was there.
Both time to market, and then I think we started talking about when we were first doing project time to value as well, right? It wasn't just that, hey, we could deploy something in a shorter number of months that was a composable piece, but also you could receive value from that piece in order to fund other areas of the business.
That's why, as you evaluate, you pick the things that are to get pieces out faster, right? Again, everything is about speed to market is critical, right? And if you can get pieces that are going to move the needle out faster, that's going to help your overall business and fund the rest of the program.
Absolutely. John, I know one of the big things that we discussed with the decision for Broadleaf was that accelerated time to market. What aspects of Broadleaf in particular were you thinking of with that faster time to market? What was it about the solution that was appealing that proved that quicker TDM?
Again, I think it's really the same general storyline. The offering was the Broadleaf product had a big array of offers, right? Everything we wanted was there. Everything we needed was there. The technology too, right? I mean, the Spring Boot, it's very common, easy to find people to know it. It's not complex. So we felt confident that we could easily bring on our trusted partner, Logixal, and run with this program without major lift in learning as well, right? So we felt good that there was this was going to be a quick study, and we would get running very fast, and and that's kind of what we did, right? So we were able to bring Logixal on, and they were ramped up super fast and was able to start the development right away rather than spending a lot of time and a lot of money on a high-priced, super high-priced vendor to come in because they've done this before, right? So the ramp up in the learning curve was really short and fast, and that's part of why we went that route as well.
Appreciate that. And Deepak, in working with other solutions as well, what are the main differentiators that you think of when you think of Broadleaf as a e-commerce platform?
So when we came to Broadleaf as a main e-commerce platform, right, the one thing that we found was it's truly extendable. Easy to learn was another thing that when we noticed across when we were getting the teams learned across, whether it's Broadleaf versus other comparable products, then they were easy to work with, easy to get adopted to, probably because of the technology stack. It became much more easier. When it came to the overall implementation at John's place, right, we were already on that journey towards the whole digital transformation. So phase 0, phase 1, or a multi-phase journey where we had already the UI decoupling had happened, the search and the content was already moved on, and we were now looking at the core e-commerce phase of trying to do things. And a couple of areas that we really wanted was to start looking at the core commerce to be done in really an iterative one functionality feature at a time. That is something that was so easily doable. We started with promotions, and then you have parallel tracks going on with accounts, cart and checkout, customer service, that we could not only start in one service at a time, but we could have multiple teams working on it independent. And that's the experience that we wanted, that we could really start working with and be able to provide a faster turnaround.
From a results standpoint, Deepak, our teams were ultimately able to deliver with John's team an initial offer and promo development migration, all that dev work in 4 months. What did you see as the biggest challenges getting there? Because of course, for a multi-billion-dollar, multi-brand, multi-geo retailer, to move that quickly is not easy.
So I guess I would probably put the time to go live was the biggest challenge. It was right before the holiday season that it was to be done. And I guess the compressing each of these activities into that limited time was the key area. And working together to achieve that, I think, was phenomenal in that short time frame.
Yeah, and just to add to that, right? I mean, the time estimates we were getting, like our team was kind of going to estimate to just add 2 additional promos to the same solution, to the existing legacy solution, was the same effort, same time as to put in a whole new engine. So I mean, again, it became a no-brainer choice for us because I spend the same amount of money and time to deliver just 2 additional promos, and we could put in a whole new engine that has a slew of offerings that are well above what we had today.
That's a great point. And when you think back on the project, John, what were those major benefits of the migration? You mentioned kind of additional offers and promos. What were the other benefits there and best practices that you think is taking into future projects?
Yeah, I mean, so from a business perspective, it really was the additional promotions and the flexibility of those additional promotions. We were on a legacy system that was missing things like buy X, get Y, some small things like gift with purchase, things like that were just not there in the legacy solution we were using. So those were the big movers and the big nuggets we wanted to get to with this solution that was driving a lot of the expected business benefit too, right? Like being able to have these offers was something our marketing team was super excited about and looking to drive to. So that was really the business driver on that. For us, it wasn't going to be, this initial launch wasn't going to be a technical benefit per se, because we still had the legacy solution there, and we were moving to get off the full legacy solution where the technical benefit would come. But initially, that wasn't there. It was really a business and time to market that drove the choices. Your architecture should match your business need. And that's where the composable, flexible solution comes in, right? The more flexibility you have within the solution you're architecting, the easier it is to deliver for any type of business need, right? And that ultimately is why you're seeing a big drive this way, right? Because nobody wants to spend $10 million every 5 years, because the solution is so hard to meet the new business needs, right? So generally, if you build something that's more flexible, you focus on areas that are important to the business and spend your dollars where you're going to drive business value, rather than spending your value on tech debt and old archaic systems which drive no business value, right? So business value becomes the focus. And then if you have that truly flexible, composable solution, you put your money where your business is going to get the benefit, and not on the stuff that you let somebody else manage, the stuff that doesn't matter.
Hey, Deepak, as we also took a look at the zero downtime requirement, I know we went from a typical cloud provider that provides multi-zone coverage or area into this route to have multi-region coverage. Can you talk a little bit about what those needs were from either a solution perspective or from a consulting perspective of what you were looking for?
All right. So when it came to the whole multi-region, right, that we had both the brands that were there to be there on both the regions, typically US and Canada, being able to support different pricing, different promotion strategies, different address verifications, and a lot of integrations that were specific, all the way to certain business strategies and the way that things were getting marketed, or the content that was getting driven was very much region specific. So that is where we saw the differences across, and the same solution trying to be able to help us manage both.
And then, John, I know that our team did a little bit of R&D for you on top of the Broadleaf platform as part of winning the deal. Can you walk us through what the reason and rationale was for looking at that in a multi-region active standpoint?
Yeah. So a couple things. One is, I mentioned earlier, right, about some of the conflicts that we see with the solution we had, right? So some of that, so the architecture built on the Broadleaf platform is not as much session based as legacy platforms. And so a lot of those conflicts would have gone away, and we felt better about the solution that was provided. And then, as we look at the different types of database solutions that were out there, right, you guys brought some forward and kind of worked with us and other partners to other solutions to kind of bring a holistic platform together, and then presented your findings. So the effort you guys put in, Broadleaf put in on that, to provide us that solution was great, because then we didn't have to think about it, and you guys came forward with, here's how you could do it with our solution and other solutions. Pick your database of choice, and we'll show you how it can be done. And so we did that, right? And then it became an easy choice as well, because we had that flexibility of even the solution, the database we wanted to choose was great, right? Because then we could go back and negotiate and have debates with other solutions out there, instead of just saying, well, this is all you could do. That limited our ability to negotiate and have the best price we could get.
Which I think gets back to that best of breed solutions that you'd mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I think that's what we've got today. So thank you guys again, both for joining. Are there any last thoughts that you guys wanted to share? I'll start with you, Deepak.
Well, as you said, right, the whole POC on the data store was really an interesting one. The last thing probably was the whole support that we received from Broadleaf team. That was really excellent. But they were working with us as a part of our team, kind of really helped us get a lot of the queries turned around pretty fast.
And I know it was easy working with Logixal as well, so thank you for that. Coming up to speed on Java, Spring microservices with an e-commerce context was easy to do. John, any last thoughts from you?
Choosing the right commerce platform is critical. And when you look at them, there's a lot out there, but there's not many with the flexibility of Broadleaf. So that's a critical point in when you're evaluating and what you want to do and how you want to grow. Picking the right best platform is important, and that's why we chose chose Broadleaf. And then it's not just about the commerce platform. It's about who you bring on to help you implement that, right? You need to bring in the best, most knowledgeable team possible to do that within cost reasonable, right? Nobody wants to spend a fortune on this stuff, right? Bringing on that's great, that can help you implement, do it fast, and do it for a reasonable price was the other big factor for us to choose both Broadleaf and Logixal in this endeavor, because both came in at I think, reasonably priced, and both came in with a lot of knowledge, a great team, and we were able to move quick and learn fast. And so you got to pick the top-notch partners, and that's what we did, and that's why I think we were able to move so good.
Appreciate that. Well, again, Deepak, John, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I look forward to continuing to working with you guys. And so certainly if there's any questions, feel free to mark in the comments below or just email to info@broadleafcommerce.com.